The season has started. We had some kickoff classics, and we had a couple guys just absolutely show out. And one I had to bring up bright and early, Armondo Blount, the five-star defensive end from Miami Central. Central has a couple of guys on their defense that we want to talk about, but we got to start with Armondo, who had a monster game, 6 sacks, a ton of pressures. And he's the kind of guy that if he gets 6, it was probably 8, but somebody else got a couple on pressures that he got. What were some of your impressions of him after that first game?
It's ironic. I knew he was really good anyway. I'd seen him play before when he was at Dillard, but when I watched the pregame warmups, I didn't even go over to Central's D line. I didn't need to. I went over and watched Vanguard's O line, and I knew it was over very quickly. The left tackle was a long kid, very athletic looking, but he wasn't as athletic as he looked. He wasn't very technically sound, and that was a beatdown. He just wasn't quick enough, wasn't strong enough. He long-armed him. He used SWAT. He used RIP. And sometimes he just went and just walked him back.
Strong hands.
Yeah, and the other thing that a lot of guys at Armondo's size can't do this, even as third-year NFL players. They'll take a hard step inside, and that guy will get ready to set, and he'll just move back out, and he'll make him just whiff. When 250 gets rolling and he makes that guy whiff, it's bad for any quarterback.
It's bad.
So there were a few plays where it was just meat at the quarterback, and I know Fred Gaskin well, the kid from Vanguard, really good kid. He's going to play DB at USF, but, like most high schools, you put your best athlete at quarterback. He's a freaky kid, and he had to have been sacked 10 times. A normal quarterback would have been sacked 15 times. Their offensive line is terrible. They don't have any chemistry, and to their credit, Central took advantage. When somebody fails, you take advantage of it, and they did. They didn't even have to blitz much or anything like that. 4 men and bad things. Wow. So Blount was the ringleader. Randy Adarica, the defensive tackle, also a class of 25. They moved Randy around a little bit, and a few times they put him right next to Armondo, and that was really bad.
How do you block that?
Yeah, they didn't. Is the correct answer. I've got a photo. I was going through the photos. I've been sending Randy and Armondo a bunch of photos this morning, and I'm just kind of going through, and there was a play where immediately Armondo had beat his guy, and Randy hadn't beat his guy because he was only halfway by, and it was like 2 steps into the play. And I'm like, I don't know how this play ended, but I'm sure it's bad.
It's bad.
It was funny because those kids play with so much effort on pass rushing downs in particular that if you're not technically sound and everybody cohesive, it's hard. But it was, there are a few plays where Vanguard's backed up and I'm standing in the back of the end zone. So I got a bird's eye view, and I would just put my camera down and watch. I kind of snickered a few times because I'm like, even if they blocked those two, Central has some kids that are more like, FCS, et cetera, that are D1, just kids that play. Sometimes they were the ones chasing Fred. He was just running for his life. And you know what? It is what it is. That's why Central is arguably the best program in the country. Year in and year out, they're right there, and they beat IMG last year, et cetera. So hats off to Jupe Joseph and his staff. They didn't play well offensively, and I'm being kind, and they had a gazillion penalties, but their defense just beat the bejesus out of them, and that's why they won.